let's double check to make sure nobody's left behind in any lobbies, because there's a lot of lobbies. It'd be awful to have one guy sitting there waiting for a report.
Yeah, great.
Where is everybody?
I got moved into the wrong lobby into another union call, and both me and the guy in there were deeply confused as to what was going on.
I don't see anybody in any of the chat lobbies for this game.
I was just like, what's going on?
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I gave it a quick look, Marshall. It looks like it's everybody.
I'm counting heads.
I think it's everyone, yeah.
I count 34 in the order of battle.
48 souls involved in today's game, which probably puts us in a solid second behind that legendary Kriegsspiel in Germany. But this is the largest one that I know of that was ever fought online in real time on Tabletop Simulator. The one in Germany was a face-to-face event.
So online we're the biggest.
Oh yeah, by far,
Hey,
easily. In civilian history, I'm sure the military has run monster events that count as Kriegsspiels.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, a warfighter is a form of Kriegspiel, Mike, and that's a cast of thousands.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, it is.
Because
Does the National Training Center count? 1-to-1
Yeah.
Kriegsspiel?
Yeah. But anyway, the military has incredible resources, and that's fine. But we civilians, we humble folks, we've worked really, really hard to put this together. I definitely want to thank Alex, who developed the most ingenious system. He took 1826, 1867 rules, modified them for the American Civil War, simplified everything so it was actually playable. All of that, he did a ton of work that really made this game possible. Not to mention advising on how we could get everybody playing at the same game at the same time. Because previously we were limited by the size of Tabletop Simulator and only being able to have so many people. That limitation, he found a way around that. So it's absolutely ingenious. I also want to thank Damon, who did most of the artwork on developing these pieces. He built the module. Alex helped with the pieces. There were a number of other people who helped out in other ways. Sam in particular, I don't know. How many messages did you have, Sam? Do you know?
3. Here, let me look at it. 305.
351.
Sorry. Oh, that's. Is it 351? Oh, yeah. No, it's 375. Just some of them didn't get sent from the last turn.
That's quite a bit.
Sam ran hundreds of messages. He was helped out by C Money. I especially want to give kudos to Jan, who worked really hard to pull the Union team together. I think it really paid off. And I also want to thank Eli. Eli took the reins at almost the last minute with only a few weeks to prepare. He whipped the Confederate team into shape and got them here with the cohesive plan. So all of that. There's a number of other people. I certainly want to thank all of the umpires, those of you who gave up your day or a half day or who are losing sleep. It's early AM for some of you. And I want to thank all of you for being here. But I tremendously appreciate especially the work of the BIDI umpires. And I'm just super grateful for everything that you guys have done to make this possible. Now, to talk about the game. Long story short, I think this is a Union victory. I can really only speak to my sector. I was in the Northeast. Both sides kind of pulled back. The Confederates never landed their blow in the North, and I should share my screen. I'll share my screen. I was waiting for the Confederates to deliver a hammer blow, and when they finally decided they were ready to do it, it would have landed and it would have crushed the Union here and pushed them back across Rock Creek. At that point, it's up for grabs. Here, the Union was doing great along Hanover Road. The Union, actually, it's York Pike. The Union was doing pretty well there. And those are the regions where I was responsible. And I felt the Union really did a good job. They pushed hard. They pushed off that cavalry. I think the cavalry tried to hold about a turn longer than it should have. In spite of that, Peter did really well. He was able to extract his forces. even in the midst of a terrible situation, there was one where his cavalry was just shot up crossing a bridge on the Harrisburg Road, but they actually managed to get across, and he recovered the unit, and he was able to move down to Culp's Hill, and even there he was able to blast the enemy cavalry with his artillery off the hills. He did pretty well there. But overall, I think that I want to compliment Eli because this was a really tough scenario. It was going to be really hard for the Confederates to win. They had to get the siege train all the way across the map and off the map. And the way to do that is they needed to create a corridor, and I'm going to draw a line here. They needed to create a corridor through here where the Union would not be able to touch that train, and that train would be able to get past. They were unable to create that corridor. They were unable to smash their way through here. They have a lot of units that are sitting there that could have been thrown in. I don't know if they weren't aggressive enough or what, but once the Union got entrenched on this high ground, which was historic, Culp's Hill, Cemetery Hill, the historic fishhook, it was pretty hard to do anything about that. They didn't have the option of going around. The error that was made was the Confederates elected to deploy their cavalry up here up front to delay these two whole Union corps coming in. And that was initially successful. But really, I think they should have deployed cavalry here in this region with all of these hills so that they could buy time for one of their units to get up here and screen for the train. They were unable to do that. And I think that's why the battle was more or less decided even before it was started, which is true for most battles in history. Nonetheless, for Eli to figure out how to kind of run things and where to position everybody and so on, I think it was really a stroke of genius. I would happily put him in command again. And I think he was kind of beaten by the scenario, which was a pretty tough scenario. But really, hats off to Eli. I salute him. So that's kind of my take in the North. And I'm interested in hearing what the other umpires have to say. So, Alex, what do you have to offer?
I would have a little question.
Sure, real quick.
So I'm the corps commander for the British Expeditionary Corps, the right one.
Right.
And we had actually a secret objective.
That's right. Yes, you did.
That if we lost 25% of our troops, we would have to retreat.
Yes, that's right.
Now,
that's cold.
To put that in perspective, there's six brigades for the British. So each brigade, they only had like. Sorry, I'm just doing the math in my head.
Yes, the British are reluctant allies in this scenario. So they had the way to duplicate that reluctance was to give them a very low or a very high loss limit, or a low one, however you want to take it, where they were only allowed to lose a certain amount of troops. And what's remarkable is they ended up being very heavily engaged, which kind of surprised me. But yeah,
so have we met that goal, or?
Yes, unfortunately, your career is over. I will tell you that.
How should I interpret that?
Well, let's hear from the rest
So
of the
did it work or did it not?
No, it did not work. No. Let's talk to let's let Alex give his, and then we'll continue to go through the list of umpires. We are not going to let all the players speak like we normally do because we would be here for hours. But we're going to hear from the 6 master umpires, and then we'll call it. And then anybody who wants to hang out after the end of the live stream, which will wrap up after the master umpires have spoken, then you can, of course, hang out and we can, exchange comments and questions. But I want to be able to let people go who have to go. For some people, it's well past midnight. So go ahead, Alex, please.
So I had some internet troubles earlier in the day. but when I started working here on Cemetery Hill, the battle had just really started. And so what had happened is McKay moved through the town, and he decided he was going to engage the forces here. And he did a pretty decent job of that. And it looked like Robin was sent to support his attack on the left. But this support never materialized until the very last turn. Huger was sent to support the attack on his right. And he was in the unfortunate position of the British were retreating, and so one of the part of the Union's Second Corps near the end had chosen to strike his right, and there was nothing he could really do about it, unfortunately. And so the Union held here. Special shout-outs to blocks. This brigade right here, the 2nd Brigade, 1st Division, held on with its dear life. It never broke. It never got into pink status, which it should have. They got very lucky. That happened. It's part of the system. And his corps ended up holding out in general. The British chose at one point to charge slam into a brigade, which they completely routed. But they managed to reform, and they actually formed this part of the line here near the end. All in all, I think this was a very strong showing. Overall on sides, the British took multiple batteries of losses and about probably, I think, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 steps of casualties. To put that in perspective, they have 50 steps total. So, but the artillery losses, that puts them over. They've lost so many men and so many guns. That certainly puts them over at a loss.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Villard, man. I was trying to get the attack together to go and clear out the area south of Gettysburg. I was trying to get to you, man. I'm sorry.
The Union took around, I think when the battle was over and done, they probably took about 20 to 30 steps worth of casualties when you include steps that aren't shown from heavy disruption and stuff like that, which would be about 10 to 20% of their, maybe 10%, 12%. And then the Confederacy are about the same place, a little higher, 15%. Because the casualties in the system are a little low right now. Otherwise, things went great. We ran quickly. We hope to do another big game soon. Fun time. And the other stuff was James. He's about to talk about that. Passed him. Is he in here? Oh, he stopped streaming.
Oh, so I ran the fight in the. Let me get this so it's talking to the right screen. I ran the fight down between the Union and the British. So the Union had a force coming up along this line and a force coming up along here that they intentionally began by turning here and then there. So initially they were going to have a full corps in along that line, while the British were coming down across this way. In addition, you had Second Corps from the Union coming up on the primary road, the primary Emmitsburg Road. I'm going to click the erase my drawn line so I can draw some second one. So one of the key engagements here, you've got the British light cavalry unit coming down there, and as they do that, the U.S. cavalry has just deployed out, kind of like that, with guns right where these red lines are. And they've done that largely as a defensive screen. They don't know the Brits are there. The Brits show up, and it's a question of who's going to do what. And the Brits chose to screen at the wood's edge, and the cavalry suddenly starts saying, all right, let's pound them with artillery, let's maneuver around and hammer these guys. And it takes them time to get into position, which they use, and the Brits sort of stand there and take it, as a result of which the British force is sent reeling backwards, and the U.S. briefly owns this chunk of the woods. What I was impressed by the U.S. Cav commander is that he's doing this with very, very little information to act on. He doesn't really know what the British cavalry force is. He doesn't really know what the friendly units are, and therefore the impact this has. Because as the British are trying to deploy into a line here, that line is in significant measure determined by the fact that they've just had their cavalry punched in. And the cavalry from blue screens the deployment of a 2-corps attack, wham, wham, across the British front line. The British deploy 2 brigades plus 4 batteries of artillery here, and they get attacked by 6 to 8 brigades worth of stuff in echelon. So if one of them wears out, the next one comes back. If you're looking back here at the supply trains, you can see there's an awful lot of Union units. That's because they were badly battered in this fight, didn't quite break, but they didn't quite rout, but they broke, ran back here, ran to their supply trains, and they're finally just now being ready to get back into the fight. There was a great deal of sound and fury across this line as well, with the real casualties being done here, where it was a clear field on either side, and when the Brits got their final order to withdraw, these cannons wind up getting left behind. So yet another loss of artillery for the British there. The sort of moment of glory for the British is that as their forces pulled out of here, like this, they had, let me change the color here to make it clearer. They had a second line that was deployed and ready to go through here. So as blue moves up this way, they chase the other guys out and suddenly find themselves, holy crap, in front of formed troops with a lot of artillery, which nearly wiped out an entire battalion in the first turn that happened. But blue is now pulled back to this line as the British are leaving, and in the meantime, the 1 brigade of 5th Corps punched its way up here, captured the supply train, and what they're doing next is anybody's guess, but they are aware of both British troops running away there and Confederate rear area troops and broken troops over here. What they will do next, I don't know.
Oh,
that's it
okay.
for me.
I see. Oh yeah.
Sorry,
that's
was that a question?
Confederate Army.
Okay, let's Mike. What do you have? Mike Dunn.
Okay, James, can you continue to share your screen? I can't stream because of bandwidth issues.
I will start sharing my screen. Yes. Where do you want me to focus?
Okay,
Where's
go
the
ahead and
screen
focus on northwest of Gettysburg, please. The northwest quadrant of the map.
Where's the screen share?
It's on
if you
at the bottom.
If you click on the live next to my name, or just hover over it, there should be a little pop-up. Click on the pop-up, and you will see the stream. Mike, go.
Yes. Okay. I was the umpire for the northwest quadrant of the map, which was primarily the Confederate First Corps coming out of Cashtown along the Chambersburg Pike, which you kind of see right along through here. And what the Confederates found was just how incredibly long the column is when you're trying to bring an entire corps along one road. So Marshall, in his benevolence, one of the Confederate divisions to come along the railroad cut road, which is just to the north, that parallels the Chambersburg Pike. So we had 2 divisions of 4 brigades each, plus the siege train, plus all the baggage trains, plus the artillery reserve coming along one of the roads. So by the time the front of the column had gotten its way into Chambersburg, the back of the column was just coming onto the map, way up there in the northwest part of the map. So that was a huge, huge problem that the Confederates would have to try to solve. So what that essentially meant is that they had to manage the feeding of forces into where they made contact, which was just south of Gettysburg. Kudos to the First Corps Command team, to all the division commanders and the Corps commander and the Army of Northern Virginia commander for moving out very aggressively to find places where they could put themselves to see as much as they possibly could of the battlefield. The Eli, the Confederate overall commander, made a beeline to the Lutheran Seminary, got himself up in the cupola, and was able to get a fantastic vista. So, Eli, you had a pretty good idea of what was happening to your west and to your south, did you think, based upon that?
Yeah, I did, and I'm kind of thinking about it, and man, I really wish I would have had some other pieces of information.
Yes, and we'll come
because
back
I would have
to that.
fought it differently. You know what I mean?
Yes, and we'll come back to that in a second here. The overall Union First Corps commander, he got himself onto Cemetery Hill. He wanted to see what was coming up along Baltimore Pike. The division commanders also, based upon how they were going to deploy out, got themselves onto really good pieces of observation so they could see as much as they possibly could before they made the decisions of how they're going to array their forces. So good job to all of you. The overall plan for First Corps was to act as the primary guard for the siege train. And as was briefed earlier, they were to come down the Chambersburg Pike, make a right at the town square in Gettysburg, and proceed to the southeast off the Baltimore Pike. And the plan was pretty good. One division up front to seize Cemetery Hill, to have that under control. One division to the west of that to basically act as a flank guard. And another division pretty much was left in reserve, but was committed to act as the left flank guard for the Corps. So essentially they were going to have, if you can see how I'm drawing around, kind of a U, around the south, the south, the west, and the eastern part of Gettysburg. So the plan itself was good. The problem, however, ran into the issues of how do you transition an entire corps worth of stuff moving on a single axis of advance into a line of battle that can actually defeat the Union forces coming up from the south. The presumption they were making is that the Brits would be able to hold their position and that they would be able to pretty much tie into them. Kudos again to the division commanders to march into the sound of the guns and being very aggressive in getting their brigades checking out from column into line formations and to make contact. And we saw that for the fight for Cemetery Hill and Cemetery Ridge, where we had one division coming south out of Gettysburg, pressing the attack due southward, one division coming in from the northwest of Cemetery Hill, Cemetery Ridge, and being very aggressive in getting their division committed. And the third division, which was pretty much the reserve, coming in from the northeast and working their way around between Cemetery Hill and Culp's Hill. And they did a rather good job of executing the attack.
Can I do a quick shout out for yes. that specific incident? So just to understand what was happening at Cemetery Hill, I want to do a quick shout out to the 1st Division Commander in 6th Corps. He held Cemetery Hill pretty much by himself against 3 divisions. Because I was the 2nd Division Pennsylvania Reserves that was supposed to reinforce him. And I did get there about midway through the battle. But before that, he was basically on his own against the whole corps, and he held him off with some help from the cavalry. Which was pretty damn impressive, because had that not worked, we were actually going to fall all the way back to McAllister's Hill. And if you can see, that would have completely fucked the whole plan for the Union, had that happened. So big kudos right there.
Yeah, and basically it was just really quite frankly luck of the draw, luck of the dice in the actual resolution. I really think the Confederate First Corps did a really nice job of it. It's just that sometimes the forks of the war go against you. When the Brits pulled out, following their secret orders that you, of course, would have no reason to know, you were in major peril of being completely surrounded by pretty much the better part of 2 Union forces. And that concludes my back brief.
All right, let's see who else we've got. Next on my list is Felix.
Yeah. So I had the Confederate Second Corps, which was mainly moving in on the Mummusburg Road, whatever that thing is called, down here. and they basically had two big engagements, which was the one here in the north around the Blockers Knoll, and the other one was further down to the west here on the other side of the Rock Creek at Hanover Road, where Heinz's division was fighting the Union. And what we had here was basically in both cases one division versus two divisions. Now the Confederate divisions are bigger than the Union divisions, but still I think they did a good job of holding off there. And unfortunately, we had one player who was started all the way back and didn't really get into contact. This unfortunately happens in a lot of games, that one player doesn't really get to get his command in contact. And yeah, and I think that's it from my side.
All right, and CT.
Well, I would go into great detail, but I believe James actually did a pretty outstanding job describing the entirety of the action with the Royal Expeditionary Corps, which I was in charge of as well. So I won't bore y'all with a second rendition of that. I'll just say that you REC guys, thank y'all very much. Y'all were absolute gentlemen throughout the whole thing, and it was a pleasure working with y'all.
Wonderful. Sam, did you have any comments? Sam, are you there? Might be muted.
Yeah. Hello. Which Sam?
Our mail traffic guy.
Right.
Sam Time.
Oh.
Okay.
Didn't he say he had to go?
Oh, he might have. That's right. Okay. All right. Well, it
Time
happens.
Lord ran out of time.
The Time Lord ran out of time. I also
time after time.
Excuse me. I really want to give a special thank you to Brett and Sigismund, who served as our announcers. I hope they provided an entertaining rendition of the events. They were in the unique position of being able to move from place to place to wherever the action was, and I would like to give both of them an opportunity to speak. And then after that, I'll make a final comment for everyone, and then we're going to wrap up the live stream. And then anybody who wants to kind of hang out and still discuss it, you're absolutely welcome to. But real quick, Sigismund, what do you have to say? What were your thoughts on today?
Well, thanks first of all for giving me the opportunity of being able to do this. It was highly entertaining and interesting. Being able to sort of enjoy this event alongside Brett was a great honor. It was very interesting to again find someone who's interested in history and have a talk with him. And it was overall a great enjoyment for me to be able to talk to all of you guys. It was always enlightening to see your unique perspectives, be it as division, corps commander, army commander, or even umpires. I think I can only take away positive things from this, and I think that's all I'd like to add to that.
Wonderful. And Brett, what do you have to say, sir?
It was fun. It was frustrating. It was so enjoyable going from one side to the other, where you're both convinced either you're losing or you're winning. It was a fantastic experience. Thank you, everyone, for making it so fun. Thank you, Marshall.
Absolutely. Okay, to everybody who's watching this on YouTube, either live stream or in the future, because I think we're probably going to get hundreds of thousands of views going forward into the future, I want you to know that you're absolutely welcome to join the International Kriegsspiel Society. Our website is kriegspiel.org, and you want to get to our Discord, because that's where all the magic really happens. Get to our Discord. On the front page of kriegspiel.org, there's a link at the bottom that says join our Discord. Just hit that and join right up. And that's kind of what I want to say. I want to go ahead now and dismiss our... I do want to talk to Eli, and I want to talk to Jan real quick. Before we cut loose, I almost forgot. Go ahead, Lake. Go ahead.
I was just wondering, I know this is run using modules that are available on the Steam Workshop.
Yes.
Simulator. Will the full battle be available publicly after this?
Yeah, I'll just make the main module public, and yeah, I mean you have to put everything together and so on, but yes, I'll make it public. Sure thing. I'll do that right now as we speak.
I have another question that I want to ask basically everyone. Who wrote the letter signed by the Irish? Because that was an incredible feat of poetry, and I hope you got our reply.
That was me, by the way.
You'll need to read it. You'll need to read it for our live stream audience who cannot see it.
Okay, the reply was written by me, by the way. Just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and then.
Thanks to you, Charles. It was very fitting.
I've got it. I got it. I'll go ahead. To General Benjamin of Allard, Royal Expeditionary Corps, come out, you red and tans. Come out and fight me like a man. Show your wife how you won medals in Crimea. Tell them how Kelly's brigade made you run like hell away from the green and lovely hills of Pennsylvania. Signed, the Irish.
You're out of 10. Didn't use an Irish accent.
Wow. Where's the reply?
Yeah, where's the reply?
You can probably read that there, Allard. You wanna?
Do we have it?
Send it to I sent it to the to Lake, I think. I don't know, maybe it didn't reach him or something.
If you want to repost it in the REC real quick, I can.
I haven't saved it.
What was your
Well, it's in the
command?
messages somewhere.
Yeah, the synopsis is basically just debunking the arguments made in the song.
All right. Well, we'll have to look for it and post it in our famous quotes. We'll have to post it in great quotes.
Hey, where do we find the video with the commentators like added part to it?
Our YouTube. Okay, real quick. I want to
make a clip out of it, right?
What's that?
You can probably make a clip out of it, I think.
Absolutely. Okay, Eli, I want Eli to have a chance to speak. Eli, please go ahead.
You know, I really wish I'd have known that they were forming a line right there. Because I was so focused on trying to get that attack up and over Cemetery Hill and trying to get it rushed, you know. I actually kind of feel a little bit bad for Yope because I kept pushing him like, yo, attack the hill. You don't get over it, you know. But I really wish I'd have seen that line that Jan was setting up because I would have fought it entirely differently if I'd known that that's what he was doing.
Yeah, the fog of war, man.
And for the first time ever, someone said, I say first time ever, first time something that big has been said, and it really wasn't the umpire's fault.
I mean, I mean, I really wish I'd have known that, you know, but you know, there's another. Initially, I was kind of disappointed that I hadn't won because I thought I had it with the limited information that I did have. I was like, oh, I got this, you know.
I thought you did too. I thought there was probably a solid 40% chance that you were going to win, up from a 15% chance when I scripted this scenario.
Yeah, and you know, looking at it, you know, knowing that the Brits were going to pull out, were probably going to pull out regardless, even how it didn't matter how well my other two corps fought. Eventually, the British were going to pull out regardless. 25% casualties is kind of inevitable.
Yeah, the one thing that's different is I would have put them on guarding the siege trains. They would have been the last ones to fight. And they had another special ability, which is their 2 cavalry units would be invincible in their first and only charge. They could each make 1 charge, and they would immediately rout whatever they hit. So the purpose of that was so that they could punch through an enemy line no matter where it was. And that went completely unutilized. So
my cavalry could do that.
It did happen once.
Utilized. They charged they charged a Union unit well south of Gettysburg and put it
in flight. It pissed me off when they routed them too.
What Marshall meant was that it was not utilized in success of the plan.
Yeah, the thing is,
and you know,
I think Marshall intended it to be what created the corridor.
Yeah, CT told me that any other charge with the cavalry wouldn't have the same effect. Because he was intentionally not telling me what the actual rule was. He was just telling me it's not going to work as well as it did in the beginning.
Yes.
So I completely wasted that ability on just a raid on a marching column. I didn't exploit that at all.
Dude, okay, so it wasn't completely.
All right.
Hold on, guys. I've still got some more here.
All right, go ahead, Eli.
So the original intention was to have McKay go down the road and secure a hill farther on down that could be easily defended. So the siege guns, because I expected, later on heavy contact, the siege guns would be able to make it that last little mile. You know what I mean? And the original intention was to set a line south of Gettysburg with the entire First Corps and then push south in basically a long wave. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Problem is, we ran into Union troops, a lot of cavalry. I mean, like the entire cavalry corps came down the road, which blew that plan out of the water, especially since they started securing ground. So now the whole plan's gone, and I have to adjust.
That's right. And had your cavalry been positioned with that corridor in mind, it might have stopped them, and your plan might have worked.
Exactly.
So it came down to that, but you had no way of really knowing.
No.
And
there's information I wish I'd have known, because it probably would have saved the whole thing. But at the same time,
it was a winnable scenario. Yes, it was.
And I was, like I said, I was initially disappointed that we'd lost. But then when I found out what the other stipulations were, I went, oh man. I realized how unlikely the Confederates were really to pull off a win regardless. How small of a margin it really was.
And how many times did I warn you prior? I told you more than once, but you surprised me. The genius of your plan was clearly evident, and I feel pretty good about your performance, Eli. I really, really do. I couldn't be happier with it. So you took the Kobayashi Maru test, and you damn near won it.
And Jan, man, I was basing a lot of my assumptions on the Brandy Station fight, which was kind of disorganized. So there were things I did in my planning to try and account for, a little bit of sloppiness or lack of organization. Mm-hmm. So I really have to commend you guys for being so organized this time.
Well done. The plan was long forged and well trained.
Yes, it was. Jan, go ahead. What do you have to say?
Sure. So first of all, we were pretty happy that 2nd Cavalry Division was able to secure Cemetery Hill, which we did identify as the crucial ground of the battle. That is, at least if the siege gun train was actually moving south. We also calculated with the option that they would probably move via Hanover Road to open the port of Baltimore. And I got a bit concerned about that possible option once I got informed that there were Confederate troops crossing Rock Creek and deploying at Banners Hill. But yeah, luckily that was not the case. And then, the 6th Corps did a great job there. 1st Division almost breaking, but then able to rally and secure Cobbs Hill and Cemetery Hill. And also 5th Corps and the 2nd Corps, awesome fighting on the left flank there, pushing the British back and capturing so many guns and colors and so on. Awesome battle, and a big thank you to Marshall, to Alex, to Damon, to all the umpires. Thanks for making this possible.
For sure. Yeah, I'm in agreement with him. Such an awesome game, guys.
Dude, Damon inspired me today. He said toward midway through the battle for Cemetery Hill, at our darkest moment, he said, "I planted my flag and dug a grave. Either I was going in it or the enemy was."
Dude, nice. No, once again, Jan, man, I made a lot of assumptions that as it turned out, weren't correct. So I have to commend you guys. You acted the exact opposite I thought you were going to act.
Thanks a lot. So maybe a quick note on our initial plan. So Plan was to probe Cemetery Hill, see if we can take that ground. If not, we were to deploy at the so-called McAllister line, which is running from the McAllister mill at the Rock Creek to the west, exploiting the hills there. And if we managed to get to Cemetery Hill, then the second corps was to advance an echelon behind, a left echelon behind 6th Corps. And the idea was, if you guys were trying to outflank 2nd Corps, which kind of had this left flank in the open there, 2nd Corps was to fall back, like give ground, open the Emmetsburg Road for you as a target to probably push the siege guns. And then we had 5th Corps, like in an ambush position behind the ridge line west of Emmetsburg Road. And like once one of your corps was pushing down the Emmetsburg Road, then they were to spring the ambush and like jump into your backs. But that never happened because 2nd Corps was engaged early on, and then 5th Corps, and rightfully so, decided to form and attack.
Well, I want to say thank you to everyone, and I want to allow. What was I going to say here? I want to allow Brett and Sigismund to go to the announcer booth to wrap up the live stream, unless they've done so already. I don't know.
Have they left yet? Is Brett in here?
Bailey's still here. Brett's still here. But
There's
I
one
don't know
other thing I wanted
Go
to
ahead.
say, or really announce. I told Marshall I'd announce it after the game, today after the game. We've had this in planning for, I think, a month and a half now. We've been working on it, kind of low energy. A campaign, an actual campaign. It's set in a fictional red versus blue environment to separate it from history so that everything that happens is under player control. And if people are interested in doing that, we are going to be opening up like signups for that soon. And how it'll work is
What era?
It'll be a Napoleonic level game.
Okay.
When is the sign up?
Might be right after. It might be like today. I don't know. What it'll be is.
Don't everybody flood it at once.
Yeah.
Okay, so how it'll work is this: there's going to be 2 army commanders who have to show up, and then there'll be their corps commanders who have to show up, and then divisions will be pools. So if you're a division commander, you don't have to show up to every game, but you're going to be aligned to a side. So it'll be, a red corps is in contact with the blue corps, and we'll say, okay, well, we need division commanders to show up to this battle, and you can just say, oh, I'm a red division commander. I'll take a red division.
How often will the games be?
It'll either be every Saturday or every 2 Saturdays.
I mean, sure,
Okay.
like fun.
Oh, so we're looking at something longer term then.
Yeah, it'll be.
Sweet.
Yeah, so the test game will probably be 3 corps versus 3 corps.
Oh man, I'm in on this for sure.
I would be too, but the planning is kind of. It already took. Already Grand Gettysburg took my whole week, so.
Yeah.
So it's kind of problematic, with everything around it.
Like I said, in division will be a lot lighter commitment. That's the whole reason I've come up with this idea, is that if you don't want to have heavy commitment, you can say, hey, I'd like to be a division commander, and you can just show up.
Yeah, okay. Any battle honors for today?
Yeah, we need to think on that. I also want to thank Lebrecht, by the way, who did our timer bot. It worked flawlessly throughout, so I want to say thank you for that. I don't want to leave him out. And yeah, I don't know. I was pretty pleased with my Union guys. In the north, I was very pleased with Cyrus Ogle's coordination of his 2 divisions. Both divisions did pretty well in driving off Confederate cavalry. They were sufficiently aggressive, and then they held what they could. I think they did pretty well. So I would nominate maybe Cyrus, but also I like Finn and Boyle, but we can't award all of them. There's only 2. but I do want to nominate those gentlemen as doing well. I also thought that Nick and his crew did particularly well, but I'm very pleased with Cyrus and how he performed, which is a testament to his commanders.
I would also nominate Cyrus as my commander. He did a great job coordinating everything and stepping up when we weren't there.
Damn, bro. I was gonna say I was gonna nominate you because you were doing such a good job.
I also believe on the Union side, being specific, I think Sam Miller did a great job positioning his forces. A little bit was luck. I mean, he did get a little lucky, but they say it's better to be lucky than good. But he was positioned very well and held his ground. He knew when to pull out. He knew when to shift forces. And I think he did a fantastic job here in Cemetery Hill. And I would also nominate potentially, I think Lake Mills with the striking flank attack on the Confederate right near the end. It was very committal and very aggressive.
Thank you.
And helped, and basically is half the reason we sealed this game, in my opinion.
All right. I would also personally, just as a scenario designer, I would mention Eli. I really do think that he did a really good job. He pretty much made a silk purse out of a sow's ear, which is just about all you could ask of someone to do. I'm very pleased with how he did.
Yes,
I appreciate that, man.
Considering in what situation he was, and he didn't even know it. Honestly, good job. Good job. He actually managed to do anything.
Yeah, it was a lot of work.
I mean, honestly, just kudos. I mean, honestly,
I'm gonna say it. Sorry, you go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Because I didn't see 90% of the battle because I was constantly with the British, right? But when I found out how far you pushed them, I was like, what? I thought you were like at Gettysburg or something. But you were way beyond that.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Damon. You have every right to speak. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, as far as the nominating thing, as 6th Corps commander on Cemetery Hill, I absolutely would put Sam's name out there, just to put this in perspective, because the one British cavalry attack on my column delayed my entire second division, which meant that all I had on Cemetery Hill for almost the entire battle was just a single division with 3 brigades. So it basically felt like those 3 brigades held off the entire Confederate 1st Corps by themselves.
It was nuts.
I would also like to second that nomination.
Okay. All right. I think enough of us agree to go ahead and call it for Sam and Cyrus. We will add you to the battle honors, but this should not be taken as a suggestion that other players did not perform well, because I saw a lot of brilliant performances. I really did. I saw people holding back when they should hold back. I saw them going forward when they should go forward. I've remarked to a number of people that a lot of you guys are veterans. You've played so many games now. You really know how to play. You're quite good at it. You know what you're doing. And I'm just absolutely tickled to see this. So I'm very happy. But of course, congratulations to Sam and Cyrus. Brilliant work today. And I do want to let people leave who have to leave. If you have to go for whatever reason, if it's really late or you're tired or whatever, feel free to go. The room is up. Anybody who wants to join the room, it's under IKS Master or IKS Grand Gettysburg. And the password is the word Buford, the name Buford with no capitals, just Buford, Buford. And you can happily pop in here. And that's it. Anybody who wants to hang out and chat, you're free, but this is post-game. Break out the beers, guys. Good job.
I have one last note for the record before it's all gone, because they need to be recognized.
Uh-huh.
1st Corps. The 1st Corps. You guys did the absolute best you could. I mean, you made assault after assault, and you still couldn't take the ground. You guys fought, man. I got to hand that to you.
Good job.
I actually considered Huger's attack to be a picket charge moment in a more less futile kind of way, because it was really all he could do, and just it happened near the same area. And
speaking of Huger, was he the one that I crashed into with my flank attack?
yes, you actually crashed into Kemper's brigade, to be specific.
Why is it always that I am facing off against Huger and I make a flanking attack?
I have a question. So maybe I just missed it. When will that campaign be?
No set date for it yet, I don't think.
Yeah, it's we have to get some maps designed.
Speaking of which, what were the details on that campaign? Because my internet just went out when you started.
Okay, so I think the stream